Hey there, folks. Welcome to the chat. I'm Mike D'Angelo, aka that Tellest guy. My brain is starting to melt already because it's really hot up in this room, but that's perfectly fine. We are going to be looking at the Versali-Virai Blacksmith map again. I did a little bit of work since the last time that we took a look at this together, and you'll notice that there's a lot of buildings on the map that have been kind of put together. And we're just going to go from there and try and clean things up a bit. The first thing that I'm going to do is try and clean up a couple of the spots that are still linked directly to the blacksmith overlay that we had. So you can see if we clean this up and get rid of it entirely, we lose a couple of things. There's a little bit of greenery here that we lose. And then there's a little bit of greenery down here that we lose. I'm not going to stick to it either in some cases, because over here, when we brush that back up to 30, you can see there's a little bit of greenery in front of this door. Doesn't really make a lot of sense to be there anymore. I just like the way that I placed the door there. And this one over here is okay. We're going to keep this as a tree, so we're going to plop that down real quick. Just grab something from the core. Not make it 500. Actually, we gotta lock the blacksmith area down one more time. We'll see how 30 does for us. 30 is a little too small, so we're gonna, not W's, we're gonna bump that back up. 100 actually is a nice size, but not the correct opacity, so we are going to change that. And we're going to change the greenery to be a little less green. Something like that is fine. Again, Versali-Virai is kind of an arid climate, despite the fact that it is right next to the ocean, and it has a little bit of a sea breeze. It's a salty breeze, so it sticks around. It stays hot. There's some of the coniferous trees would have been okay, but these deciduous trees, they've, the heat does a number on their leaves and things like that. You're going to notice a couple of other things that I did in the water over here. What I did was add a couple of crates that have just kind of been swept up over the years, fallen off people's boats, things like that. And they've drifted a little bit, or someone might have had like a wheelbarrow or something like that. They brought it over here. They lost control. They tipped. And then some of the stuff ended up here. A boat can't make it past this bridge. I'm actually going to show you real quick how to make one of these bridges too. So let me save what I've got. We just did a tree. It's not a huge deal, but it's better to err on the side of caution and save a lot than not save when you need to. So what we have here is actually a composite version of the castle walls. And we've got a couple of other things in here too. We've got the castle wall composites. What I'm going to do is copy that and throw it down here. And you can see there's a little bit of top brush there. So me putting this here doesn't really make a lot of sense. But I'm showing you just to demonstrate. So if we wanted to, we would just copy a couple of these. I'm going to get it passably close just so I can show you what it does. So there you go, you have the railing for your bridge, and then the next step is going to be to figure out how to kind of clean that up and make sure that you have the ability to mask the water area. So what you can do is just use a clipping mask, and it automatically gives you what you want without having to actually go into the mask tool and do anything like that. It would cause, weird ripples to do something like that, so this saves a lot of time. 500 is the width that we can go for something like this, so it's not going to go all the way. But you can see that is what we would have if we were able to kind of expand a little further. I could grab another one and paste that down as well, and it does kind of the same thing. Gives us what we need. We can take this one over here, bump it over to the right. Right now, it's just kind of a dirt bridge, but we could grab these kind of stonework brush set that we want, and we could throw that down as well. We're not going to do that just because I just wanted to demonstrate real quick what you could do, but we're going to get rid of that and get moving with some of the other things. At this point, we probably don't really need the blacksmith area stamp anymore. So what we'll do is just delete it. We know that we're going to put a little bit of greenery over here. So we'll throw just some grass, maybe some flowers. Grab something like this. I'm going to change the color of this to just like the trees, just kind of yellow it out a little bit. Not a tremendous amount or anything. Okay, and we'll see how that looks. That's fine. I don't want to get super into any of that. I don't need to go crazy with it, but so again, we're not going to go too crazy over here. Actually, I am going to go a little crazy with this real quick. I don't like the size of those grass patches, so we're going to shrink that down a little bit. That looks much nicer. Go through it just a couple times. I'll throw some grass in a couple of places. Everywhere else I'm going to do a little bit less opacity. Saltwater is not really great for grass to grow or anything like that. So we're not going to go too crazy that close to the water. Do a little bit around the tree. All right. It's a good place to start. And then from here, what we're going to do is furnish the map in some ways. We know that this kind of little canal structure is meant to help sailors bring on their goods and stuff like that. So let's go back to crates. We don't need a 500. We really don't. 30 is our magic number that we like a lot. So we've got 2 doors into this part of the not the market, but like the warehouse district. So what we're going to do is make sure that there's a path in here. So we're not going to put crates all over the place. We're going to leave room for someone to navigate if they need to. Again, with the opacity, so we're going to bump that up a little bit. They're not doing a great job of setting things up in a way that makes a lot of sense, but that's okay. It is a little bit weird that they're almost all facing the same direction. We'll do the same thing over here so that we're mixing it up a little bit. And let's switch over to like a barrel. We'll figure out, you know what, I actually like the idea of something like that. You know what, actually, I was thinking about what to do with one of these crates. I'm just using that other one as a guide and putting that here. I'm not really going to see any problems with that, so we'll just go that way. Get some barrels that are on their right side up. Do something like this. We've got another warehouse kind of thingy up here. let's go and look at the market. Excuse me. Well, we've already got some stuff over here. So if we go into our Versali-Virai, I want to see how the map ends up translating into that upper set. So we've got a little bit of room here that you can see. And I think the door terminates right there. So if we head back to Inkarnate, yep, we can see there. So we can do something like that. Move it down a little bit so that we don't have to worry about an overlap. And what else do we have in the market? Yeah, why not? We'll throw some carrots in there. Twist that so it looks like it's balancing. Some eggplants. I'm going to put our vegetables down here. A lot of the stuff on the east side of this canal is meant to be warehouse. This is a messy warehouse over here. They're going to have a little bit of a hard time climbing over stuff. You could do a foodborne illness episode of whatever game you're doing. Let's see, what else can we do? So I knew that I was going to use a cart. I was going to tuck it in right here. These guys are a little bit further away. So it helps to have some way to navigate your stuff. And this could kind of be the explanation of why these crates and stuff ended up in the canal. And I don't want it all to be food. I want to try and have some other stuff in here. So we'll have to see. They don't really give you too many options. I'm really holding out for the hope that eventually we get some kind of marketplace in Inkarnate where you can do some pretty cool stuff. There is... Alright, we're going to try something a little different here. So I've shown you guys how to break your stamps before. We're going to very specifically try to break this one for the purposes of an aquarium of sorts. So I saw crabs and stuff like that. I think, in theory, we should be able to do some stuff with that. Let's start with the top brush. We'll see if we can do anything with that. We're going to go to like 50 opacity. We're going to go to... Actually, we can probably just try the water brush. And we're going to actually change to the rectangle. Now you can see right now it snaps. But what we should be able to do is... Now we're playing with it a little bit differently. And let's see what happens when we apply that over top. So that looks like it could be a box where some fishies and stuff like that can go. I don't want to be in brush anymore. I want to go back to our market. And we've got things like these lobsters. We've got these squids and stuff. So let's try and see if we go to 30. Oh, that's perfect. Throw a couple of steamed lobsters in here. Well, they're not steamed yet, but they will be. You know what? These two are holding hands. Telling a love story on this map as well. So we're actually going to just copy this entire set and make it a couple of times in here. We'll do... this right side over here. And we still do need to paint over it and everything like that, but this will give us a nice basis to use. Okay, apply there. Actually, I'm not a huge fan of the way that landed. So try one more smidge that way. Yeah, I think I like that better. Okay, those are perfect. So I don't want to have the same stuff in each of them, so we'll put some squids and some octopuses in this one. This guy will sell directly to the market, things like that. It actually looks like a rubber chicken more than an octopus, but I'm not complaining. Let's get a couple of fishies. Later on, we might go bigger and do something in like a residential home with an aquarium that has one of these big guys. And you know what? While we're at it, they're pretty similarly colored. So we'll change it so that maybe we get like a green fish. And maybe we'll do like a red one here or something like that. Just so that they don't look all exactly the same. So we did something real cool there in just a couple of moments. So that was a nice little thing we could do. Let's see. So we did vegetables over here. I don't know what those green things are. They could be pickles for all I know. I know I saw fruit, so we'll do a couple of those. Broken baskets, don't want those. We'll do some grapes there. Oh, I didn't realize that there was a whole set. You know what? Here's what we're going to do here. Do a couple of these guys. These guys specifically buy crates of grapes, and I know we saw before like crates of wine. We might have actually made the wine crates before, so let's grab a crate real quick. We're going to do this one a little bit differently. So we've got that the way it looks normally, but we're going to transform it because I don't want a perfect square. Nah, doesn't look right. Perfect square is what we're going to be stuck with. That's alright though. Alright, let's go get a wine bottle or two. So they get grapes and wine bottles and stuff like that. So we'll mix them up. We'll have some, maybe we'll do two barrels. Shrink that down just enough for these guys to be in there. Oh. I don't want to randomize those stamps. What madman. Crates. Different bottles of wine. Oop. Didn't need that extra one. Alright, I'm actually going to shrink that down one more smidge. That is the scientific term. And then we're going to do it all again, but we're going to do it with a different vintage. We'll use the red wine for this one. Do 23. Again, lots of food and drinks and stuff like that. I really want to see something a little different, but we'll get there. Alright, we did grapes. I did see apples and stuff like that, so let's see if we go back to the market. We've got baskets filled with food. And we've got a couple of different types here too, so that's bread. Maybe we'll put a baker over on the left side. I wonder if I can do something back here that kind of makes sense. Let's do... We'll put the bread basket down there, just so that I know where to use it later. What do we got here? Crab pot. So the question is, do we put this crab pot in the water as a little reference, and then we'll leave that alone for now. Just a nice little reference. I can't for the life of me tell what that actually is. Are those sausages? Chain link sausages, perhaps? Man, they don't really give you a lot to work with. I got apples. No peaches? No pears? Well, let's see. Let's see if we can stock that barrel ourselves. Melons would be good. And oranges. Do some of those, yes. Sometimes you just gotta pick them up and move them. Okay, and I think I saw melons in there too. So do those. Let's grab that one and actually move it up a layer. And what else do we got as far as fruit goes? A little basket of strawberries? Maybe we'll just do a smaller basket there. Not quite that small, though. And we'll do the same thing here that we're going to be doing with the bakery. We're going to put these on the floor for now. But we're eventually going to put them on like a table or something like that. Now here's the challenging thing about these strawberries. They are going to kind of overlap on top of that basket handle. We'll have our players suspend disbelief just long enough to enjoy their game. And then they'll forget all about it before the next session starts. We'll throw one more in there. I like that. Let's save again. And then let's get some tables in here. Furniture? Why don't you like tables? Oh, I think that's because I have the tag. Alright, we're going to do nothing crazy. Just the core tables. These down a smidge, so I don't want the shadow to overlap the walls. Some of these are going to be easier than the others because they're already combined. And we're going to take our little melons here, throw them here. I'm going to try and change the color, make it look like a honeydew or something like that. So negative 37 actually kind of looks cool. Yeah, it's a nice little arrangement there. And we got the apples. I don't think... You know what? Here, we're actually going to get a different kind of apple. So let's get the basket that we have the oranges in. Throw that down here. We'll go back in and go back to our market. Or our food, rather. I think it might be in farm. Those are peaches. So we got apples there. They might not actually be apples. They might actually be peaches. But we're going to put some peaches together in here. And for all intents and purposes, these are actually pomegranates right now. We'll throw one on top. Alright, we'll probably come back, fill that up a little bit later. But let's go back to our bakery. Throw that over here. And I don't think that there was an oven that we could use. We got the steam pump. Let's head back to the tavern and see if there was anything there we could use. They've got the smelter, which kind of works as a forge, I suppose, but not really for... I wouldn't bake bread in it. So let's see what we can do here. We'll get this about halfway through, and then let's see if we can find stonework that kind of looks like that, like walls. We don't need it to be in the castle, necessarily. Got farm walls. Gothic horror. Graveyard fences. That's not quite going to do. Let's just see if we can get like a regular stone looking thing that we can modify. looks too much like the bordering walls, so I don't want to do anything there. Not going to touch the desert. Farmstead's not the right look. Gothic horror doesn't feel right. Sewers definitely not. Siege, snow, steampunk. What about the temple? It doesn't quite look right. I kind of want to like have bricks that just go right across. And I don't see too many of those kind of things. There might be another way that we could do this. Let's try this. So we are going to move that down a layer. That actually looks like it might be something that we could use to pull it off. And we'll keep on going down a layer as we go. Now the important thing is I whoopsed, and in the front I didn't have a flame. So let's just delete the other one. I want that one to be on top. There we go. So that's where they bake their bread. Again, a lot of this is just about being creative, so anything you can do that kind of speaks to you as to how you would build out your world. Do what makes you comfortable. Do what helps you have a little bit of fun. All those kind of sort of things. Alright, we're going to hit save, and then actually what we'll do is take a brief intermission. We're going to drop over to our sponsor, make sure that, that they get the love that they deserve, and then I will be right back. And now, a word from our sponsors. One of the most enthusiastic and passionate fantasy authors you'll discover, Beth Connor focuses on more than just her own work. She helps bring other fantasy authors' work to life and infuses her joy of the genre into everything she does. That includes her incredible book, Micah and the Candles of Time, a tale in her Isdralon Chronicles, which are set to continue growing with another book in the series coming out very soon. With Micah and the Candles of Time, though, you get what feels like an Alice in Wonderland-style portal fantasy that you won't soon forget. Delight yourself with this immersive and entertaining tale, and check out our promo for Micah and the Candles of Time on the Tellest website. Alright there, folks. It's hot up here, but it's not so hot that I can't go the full hour today, so we are going to keep on muscling along. Let us go with... I'm going to actually change the size of this because I want it to be just a nice 5-foot table. So we're going to move this over. What, up to 75 perhaps. That's a nice fit. There's still a lot of work that we need to do to make this city feel alive and rich and things like that, but we've already done a real nice job, I think, of kind of putting things together. So we're just going to keep at it. I don't like to linger in one place for too long, so we're going to kind of bounce around as we go. We've got... Let's see if we can get those crates from the marketplace by themselves. So we've got things like this. I'm going to try and see if we can get them the same size as like the carrot box. So that was 30. So we'll head back in here, grab a box by itself. And what we're going to do is fill that up with a different kind of vegetable. We're going to go to... Actually, not too much of a difference from one to the other. It's fine. We'll leave the market. We're going to go to the farm one more time. And I knew that I saw other vegetables, so we can do like celery and cucumbers and stuff like that. So we'll grab a couple of more things that we can do here. Again, we might have to do the same thing that we did with the other one, where we're kind of constructing them out here and then moving them over. Alright. That'll about do it for the cucumbers. We actually are going to clean this up a little bit. So one of the things that you can do is group these so I don't have to worry about little bits and pieces. We'll do the same thing with these crates. Is there a hotkey for that? There is. So if I hit G, it'll group them. That's a little too much work to clean that up right now, so I'll come back to that later. But let's keep on doing some veggies over here. Get another crate. Put a couple of things of celery in here. And this one does not look like it likes to do random angles or anything like that. See, I flipped it vertically because I felt like this just kind of fit better. We won't put a lot of celery over there. Again, right now you're not really going to see too much going on, but maybe when we bump it up to HD it'll look a little nicer. Onions, if we can throw in there. Those are huge onions. Just do something like that. I don't want them to be chopped onions. That's it for our veggie warehouse. We don't need to go crazy. Food, 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 food. That's all we've really worked on so far. So again, let's see if there's something else that we can do. So we're in the farm. Let's go to some other areas and see what kind of pops. I can't believe the camp only has a couple of those things. Castle has... I wonder if there's a way to kind of layer these where they look like... Well, we're going to have a market later, so I don't necessarily want this to be like a display point for these places, for these things. I want to try and make it so that it's like a warehouse. It's, you know, they will ship it off to other places, not even necessarily in the city, and do what they need to do that way. We have the tailor that's west of the tavern, so I don't want to do a tailor. Let's do some other things. I don't like that they're the only kind that we have there. They don't really give you too many options, but we could change the colors of these things. So let's do that. We'll do kind of like a jeweler. Let's close out of this. Not an onion jeweler. So this one, either one of these two. We'll actually use this one because this one we can put 2 crates in and really kind of ham it up that there's some good stuff in here. So we'll do a crate here that looks a little bit more secure and protected and intentional. And then what we'll do is we'll grab, there's that other crate that we had. That way there's a nice little bit of diversity that we have. Let's head back in and we'll do some gems. That is way too big. Even 15 feels big. So we'll do 10. And we're just going to throw some of these things in here. Let's rotate them so that they don't all look the same. Really? Alright, so at this point we've got a little bit in everything, so let's go to color. We'll change the hue up on some of these so that looks more like an amethyst at this point. And we'll change it up one more time. And you'll notice there's a lot of empty space right now, but we're going to kind of clean that up in a bit because we're going to add a whole other set of gems. So if we go in here, now we can grab these ones as well. Let's change the hue again. This is the shop that Rihanna would spend all her time at. Alright, so in order to kind of give it a little bit more substance, what we're going to do is go to, find some treasure. A pile of gold that we can throw down. And if we throw that down one layer, and we throw the crate down one layer, there we go. Now the way that this ought to feel is like these gems kind of landed on top of the gold. So we're going to smush some stuff around a little bit. Got another pile of gold. Oh, that's as low as that's going to go until we shrink it manually. That ought to be a nice size. So we just got to move it down. Move the crate down. Very nice. Got some glitters over there. So it just rained where we are and my knee is acting up. Give me 1 second. I'm going to go to a brief, 30-second intermission just to walk it off. I won't even change to the intermission window. go. That ought to settle me for the next 10 minutes or so. So what we could do, let's see if there's a trap that we can throw in here. Let's see if I do the traps tag. What do we got here? They're actually traps. I don't know what I like here. Got any other cages that we can use? I like the Gothic Horror cage. I wonder if we can change it to be... So here's what we're going to do. So you'll notice the way that I have it right now, it's pitch black, doesn't really make a lot of sense. But if we transform it to be half opaque, you can kind of see a shadow. You know, I don't know that the players are going to notice this right away. I'm going to have to change it to be a little less. So that's supposed to represent a cage that's hanging from the ceiling that could drop down on anybody who comes in. So it could be that like the doors are warded or something like that. So we'll start with that. Let's grab another table. We'll throw that in there, and then we'll try and see. It might not be today. It might be a tomorrow thing or something like that. We're treating it like a jeweler. And again, they might sell their wares to the marketplace and things like that. I wonder if there is some kind of glass that we can use that would look like a microscope or something like that. This we're going to kind of use as like a lens. Get the opacity all the way up so it is what it needs to be. For whatever reason on the table it looks a little wonky. The blend mode is fine. Again, when we move it to HD, it might look nice. What we'll do is let's try and see if we can find some fabric that we can use to be kind of like a tablecloth. So I think the reason that it's kind of blurry like that is they probably intentionally made it so. Well, we'll keep it normal for now, because again, that reflection might end up turning out okay. And then let's grab one of these gems. We'll take something that definitely looks a different color. And the idea is that this gem is out because the jeweler has been kind of looking at it under that glass. They're looking at it and deciding to price it out. All right, what else can we throw in this little warehouse district? So we've got these bookshelves. I'd like you to be bigger, please. And what we should be able to do is throw some clusters of upright books in place on top. I think if I change the color here, it's going to change the color of the pages. That is the one bad thing about stamps like that. Now, I could throw them out into Photoshop and, you know, kind of break them and things like that, but we're going to leave them for now. We've got sconces like this. Let's do... This is not a night scene, so we'll keep this one. We're going to actually put it up here. I feel like even though it's in a spot like that, where it's in like a lantern or something like that, no one's going to want to risk burning those books or anything like that. Find a chair we can use. Doesn't need to be from the castle set. All broken, huh? Just use a core one, but I actually like this one a little better. And let's change the hue of that to better... Not the hue. Well, maybe. Looks a little bit more luxurious that way. And I'll throw one more book on there for good measure. So those are upright books. We don't really need those. Let's grab one of these guys. That is a... It's 5 feet across if I do it that way. Let's shrink it down a little bit. Change it just a smidge. Alright, I think that is where we'll probably close up for the day. I'll leave the chat open for a couple of minutes in case Misery wants to say anything, or in case anybody has been lurking and I don't know about it. This map is due to come out on Thursday of this week. I do still need to do, as you can tell, a lot of work on it. There's a good chance that I don't do a straight-up variant of this map, because what I'm going to be doing is hooking in that map that goes down here. I would love a Chalky Milk. Once we put the map down here, that'll be like our variant, because we're not going to save that map for later. We're going to be doing, you know, it's a bonus map for people who buy at the $5 level. Let's see if there's a portcullis that we can grab real quick. Maybe there's something in the castle set that I can use. Curtain rods. It's not quite what I want. Maybe there's something in the sewer that kind of looks what I need it to. So we've got this sewer grate. Problem is, those are this stuff right here is a brush layer. Now what I can do, well, the biggest problem is going to be I don't believe that I have that brush layer anymore. So we would have to kind of recreate it. I mean, not the worst thing. I probably have some instructions about it somewhere. I am going to leave the portcullis here just as a reminder of what I'm planning on doing. But that'll be kind of where we close up. And then, yeah, I will see everybody back here tomorrow for another day of map making, and then we'll go from there. I have a special treat tomorrow that I am giving to one of my sponsors. So I will definitely have to make sure that I'm wrapped up by 8 p.m. tomorrow, so we can't go long tomorrow or do like a follow-up video gameplay or anything like that. But we will do likely close to an hour of map making tomorrow. So we are going to close the show and then send off until next time. So I'll talk to you all tomorrow. But folks, I wanted to thank you for watching my stream today. On the screen now, you should see all the places that you can find Tellest and That's Entertainment content. To find anything out about the Tellest Fantasy Universe, you can go to Tellest.com. Also, an important note that completely slipped my mind because I was in map making mode. Tomorrow, my 20th book comes out. Wild Magic is the third book in the Ancestral Magic trilogy that I started 5 or 6 or 7 or however many years ago. And at long last, the third book, an immense novel, is coming out, and it wraps up a big chunk of the first part of Adelia's story and opens up a lot more for the world at large outside of that as well. For the battle maps that my brother and I create, you can go to patreon.com/Tellest. This is, I think, our 29th map, maybe 30th. We're trying to make more every week, so we're trying to hit 50 before the end of the year for sure. To see my streams live, be sure to check me out here on twitch.tv/ThatTellestGuy, or if you're watching this later, on twitch.tv/ThatTellestGuy. To see all the streams that I've ever strummed for maps and Talking Tellest, you can check out my YouTube channel at youtube.com/@WorldOfTellest. For our video game related content, you can go to thatentertains.com, or That's Entertainment's YouTube, youtube.com/@that'sentertainmentgames. And to find all of our awesome merchandise, including high-quality mouse pads, handcrafted magic wands, battle maps, posters, and more, head to our shop at etsy.com/shop/Tellest. Thank you so much for joining me. We are going to close out the show, and I will see you tomorrow. Thank you. Ha! Too late indeed. I'm sorry, Sean. That is just the way it goes sometimes. 7 to 8 is the magic number for me.